how everything is happening.
No one can tell you.
Let's go. We're gonna be looking at a couple Minecraft theories. Let's go.
Theory that's been in my head while I've been playing for a while that has the fun side effect of explaining recent changes, like how nether portals pre-generate in the overworld. And so today we're going to go through the evidence, the theory, and then the timeline that explains how Minecraft's Nether actually takes place in the far past and the end takes place in the far future.
Oh, wow.
With that said, let's get right into it with the starting premise, because the Nether has a strong
I can see that.
And the end is a series of floating islands that are reminiscent of heaven, at least when you ignore the black background, and that was initially going to be an Aether-like dimension that was just a bunch of sky islands in the clouds. So with that said, the initial and easy thing to say about these three dimensions, the Nether, the overworld, and the end, is that the overworld is real life, and then there is the hell dimension, and there's the heaven dimension. But I think that when you look at all of the other evidence, that starts to make less sense, because there are only three things that can go through the different dimensions themselves. There is the player, of course. You can make a Nether portal, hop into the Nether, or you can fill up an end portal and go to the end. But then there is also the Enderman, and then finally the Wandering Trader has some ability to go to the Nether and also the overworld as well. The reason we can tell the Wandering Trader has been to the Nether is because whenever you try to trade with him, he always has a chance of having certain Nether items in his inventory, like glowstone, which means he must have been over there, you know, mining some glowstone, which is very weird to picture. But those are the three things that can go between dimensions. Now look at the dimensions themselves. The Nether is one of the most chaotic dimensions and is barely inhabited by life. In fact, when you look at all of the mobs that exist in the Nether, almost all of them seem to be earlier versions of overworld mobs. Take, for example, the Wither Skeleton, who hasn't learned to use a bow yet, or the Magma Cube, who moves significantly slower than his overworld counterpart. In fact, the closest thing to a direct one-to-one comparison you can make is when you take a piglin through the Nether portal to the overworld, and he slowly zombifies and becomes like the mobs of that world. Of course, almost every mob in the overworld has this undead aspect to them, so something about going through the portal makes them zombify, which doesn't make sense if the Nether is the hellish dimension. Why would you go zombified if that's the case? Unless maybe actually what's happening when you're going through portals is not that you're traveling from hell to purgatory or from some form of afterlife to the current life, but instead that you are traveling through time, and a huge amount of time is taking place in an exact moment. This can be backed up by looking at how baby piglins go through a portal. Instead of becoming full adults and then zombifying, they zombify instantly on the spot, because in the overworld, the only hellish creatures from the Nether time that can survive are the ones that are undead and therefore effectively timeless, and even they are mostly banished to caves that look suspiciously like, by the way, the Nether generation. If you take either stone and you lay it onto the Nether, it looks a lot like an overworld cave, and if you take Netherrack and lay it onto an overworld cave, it looks suspiciously like the Nether. I think when you compare the three dimensions side by side, you can kind of see like almost a Big Bang style thing. The Nether is this dimension that is filled with Netherrack and that is very densely packed with lots of material that only takes up 128 blocks of height. And then the overworld is clearly the most prosperous time that has existed in this world, where animals are finally starting to live.
Time travel, I never thought about that with Minecraft.
And there is a real thing that is vaguely represented in
always
the real
considered
world,
it like a different dimension or something.
Slightly prehistoric,
that's crazy,
because we're still using swords, but still is at least
something to look at,
comparable to real life. And then the end is clearly so far in the future that there are only a few living organisms left. In fact, when you look at the light of the end, that kind of is backed up, because outside of Enderman, the only thing that live there is one dragon and then some shulkers that are in very few cities, which are spread around an otherwise entirely desolate landscape. All of the resources have been used up. There is nothing left besides chorus fruits and the remnants of these cities that have been built during this time. And of course, there's a whole separate argument about how clearly there used to be more dragons, because almost every end city has a dragon head. But that's about how they drove the dragon to extinction. That's a whole separate video that you can check out in the description, by the way. But the point here is that the end is clearly some far future where all the resources have been depleted, because even the Nether is filled with life of different forms that are just kind of about to evolve into something, whereas the clue for the end being far in the future, in the end times, is literally in the name. In fact, it's not just in the name of the dimension, which is called the end, but you might trust the name of the dimension as just being a community thing. Instead, look at the game achievements. The game has literally been trying to tell us this since the very beginning, you could say, because there are 2 achievements for entering each of Minecraft's different dimensions. There is an achievement for entering the Nether called the beginning, and then there is another achievement for entering the end called the end. The achievements literally tell you the timeline of Minecraft with the beginning and the end.
Don't tell me
obviously,
it's time.
The Minecraft overworld being the
present. Is it a time thing?
And the lore implications of this are so interesting. interesting. And so let's explain the theory that I
That'd
have
be crazy.
based
I can
on
see
all
that
of this
though. That
evidence,
makes
because
sense.
I think it shows that Minecraft is really a tragic story about the effect of humans on the world. The world progresses well in the thousands of years between the beginning and the middle. We
Right.
spawn to witness the very early days of humanity, that being villagers, the only living life that you can actually interact with in the overworld that aren't seen as mobs or animals or this separate thing, or indeed undead and want to kill you. There's one form of life, and it's these villagers who are starting to make the modern basis of society as we know it in the real world. I mean, take a look at any village now, and it'll be astounding when you realize the technological process they're starting to go through. I mean, there are some villages that are dedicated to farming and agriculture, which means they've freed up excess capacity amongst the other villagers so they can work on things like brickworking. They've clearly made enough structures for them all to live on, and they've done this not just in one center of civilization, but as you look around the world, you'll realize that settlers from the villages have clearly gone from one of these places to other destinations around the Minecraft world.
That's
Maybe
crazy. When you look at it, it kind of do make sense when you look at it.
And you
That's
start
the
to
crazy
see that
part
all of
about
this
it.
comes because of the simple idea of trading. I mean, trading is the basis of modern day civilization. One villager can do the farming so that another villager can work on making the weapons that they'll need to defend themselves, while another villager works on making the houses that they all need. And this can all be facilitated via trades. You can start to see this trading mechanic if you go into a village and you offer them some emeralds for some things. They'll be incredibly happy to give you some real resources like food or blocks or even enchanted diamond gear if you're willing to give them some of that money. They know that this money is the basis point of society, and so they're starting to realize that actually we can make money and we can start to use this to buy things, and they're starting to evolve to hoard this wealth better.
Yo,
this
it's
is
making
something that
sense.
is incredibly clear, and you can see that they're even willing to destroy some of the natural beauty of the world if it allows them to make a village in an ideal location. Look at the
Wow,
villages
that's
that are
true.
floating over ravines or are digging into the natural wildlife of the rivers. These villages are clearly determined to make their society work and to get rich at the cost of the natural environment. We can
That
only
is
make
true.
estimates as to how many villages there
Scary,
are in the
man.
world, but there is a near infinite number of them because the world is near infinite in size, and the only way to judge their wealth is to look at where they store it, which we, the player, can tell always comes in the form of these chests right here. A single chest, usually in the back corner of a building, and that can contain things like diamonds or emeralds if it's a particularly wealthy village. And so that's why it's so surprising when you see the extent of civilization expanding across the entire world in all these weird places, that when
Right.
you look at the end, you don't find villages there. I think this could be a cool future update for Minecraft, unless actually there's a really good lore reason why there are no end villages. I mean, as much sense it would make to have the wandering traders spawn here, they have previously fixed bugs where wandering traders or pillager raids would spawn in these dimensions, meaning that those are not intentional features. They have directly deleted them from the game because they don't fit the vision for those dimensions. And so what instead can we conclude from looking at the end and seeing that there is only one form of life, the shulker, and then dragons, and then these trans-dimensional endermen? I think the thing that we can conclude is not that villagers died out at some point and then shulkers took their place and mined all of the resources into these end cities, but instead, what if the villagers and their villages slowly evolved over time to become cities, cities that were tall and vast, and that even included ships that they could transport themselves around the world in? What if those, villages evolved and grew to be this? And what if the villagers grew and evolved too? I mean, looking at the world and seeing the transition between the present and the future, you can tell that they have taken so many of these resources, every single one of them, until there are none left. This sounds like a bad move for all of the villagers to make, but think about it. There is a similar economic principle in real life called tragedy of the commons. If there is common property, like the overworld totally is, any villager can come and take it. If you try and protect it and you don't exploit your natural resources, then someone else might come along and do so. So maybe only the most successful villagers survive for tens or hundreds of millions of years, and given the evolution that we see happens between the Nether and the overworld, would it make sense that the same evolution happens between the overworld and the end? At some point in their societal evolution, the time would come where they wiped out the last natural diamond from the world. The time would come where they would have killed all of the natural mobs that could exist and wiped out all of their spawn conditions. What if the villagers over long enough periods of time started to do this? And it would make sense that as humans evolved in the past, maybe they were, villagers would evolve in Minecraft. Maybe as they destroy the entire world down to just a few desert-style islands in the middle of nowhere, maybe that would remove the need to walk so much, and so their humanoid forms would start to become a bit more efficient, and, given that this is a block-based world, maybe they could take up just a single cube that could could look like this? What if villagers and shulkers are the same mob? This is their natural form of evolution, and that could also explain why all of the wealth that exists in the end, all of the valuable resources that do exist inside of chests found in these cities that contain almost the exact same loots that you can find in a village. In fact, look inside an end city chest, and what do you find? You find sometimes some beetroot seeds, you know, the sign of when they used to be farming people. You find some diamonds, some emeralds, some gold, and then sometimes even enchanted diamonds, the most valuable things that the villagers used to produce. To this day, these are relics and artifacts and remnants of the world. I think that when you look at Minecraft developers and you see how many of them are interested in climate change, you could make a real argument that Minecraft and the timeline of Minecraft is not this game that exists out on the side, but instead is actually a tragedy. Minecraft shows what happens when humans expand from nothing to start to creating decent societies for themselves, but the inevitable end game of resource extraction and how in the short term destroying your world is going to seem like the great decision at any given point in time, but over a long enough period of time, you can take your delightful overworld society
that really makes a lot of sense.
You know, just all the beauty of the world, and you can turn it into this
Minecraft
world, and you imagine it on a
desert.
globe. For argument's sake, that would explain why the travel distance in the Nether is 8 times faster, because it's 8 times closer to the center of the Earth, and that's why values stay the same. That's why the travel distances in the end don't make any sense. You always end up in the exact same place every time, because it is just this different plane of existence that is somewhere else entirely. And yeah, between that and the hell, heaven, present theory, I think the truth about Minecraft is it's a game where you get to decide what's happening, and I've decided that the Nether is the past and the end is the future, and you can't stop me. I hope you all enjoyed this video regardless, though. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and
maybe
turn those notifications so you see more videos like this.
That actually makes a shit ton of sense.
Goodbye.
Chat, wow. Yo, wow, chat. Yeah, guys, wow, that actually makes a shit ton of sense. When you look at it from that perspective, I could definitely see them, that's the way the directors were going. You know what I'm saying? They farmed Minecraft, they mined up all their resources. Now it's just a wasteland, just a desert. There's no water. Nothing left but their magic. They mess with magic, floating cities, and this is it. This is the end, like the beginning. That makes sense. Another being the beginning and that being the end. I really like that. I never looked at it. Always looked at it like two different realms. Just jumping into another portal. But who knows what they meant? I need a director to confirm something. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about the speculation. It doesn't really need to get confirmed. The speculation is better than what it is. Minecraft is what you make it. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing of Minecraft. So they're all right. I can't confirm or deny your stories because they're all right. You know what I'm saying? That's what builds, the theories and the sources and the team, and the community behind it. So that's just great. I'm excited, man. Minecraft, man. It always blows my mind looking at Minecraft theories. So, another one. We got another theory in the book. Let's go. We killing, cooking up. It's actually 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna post this on YouTube tomorrow. Twitch, good night. It is the Real Rod No Space on YouTube. Tune in. Yes, sir. We're going crazy, turning up. Good to see y'all. Good to be back. But as you know, I'm out. Peace. I know the vibes.